Okay, now let's check the behavior of the circuit. I used two channels so that input and output can be visualized at the same time. Okay, I have 2 volts DC power supply instead of 1.5 volts. This is only like one difference between the actual experiment and the lab. You will do the calculation with respect to 2 as well. So what is the behavior? This is the theoretical thing that I will tell you in the class. This two. Okay, here it says plot the actual waveform. So this is the actual waveform. uh, the output is at channel number 1, so I will switch off the channel 2 at this moment and press the auto set. To check whether our ground is on the line, I will press this button, and on the coupling as a ground I will have a horizontal line here. As it is not on the actual x-axis scale, I will readjust it until it gets on it, and then I will switch it again on the DC coupling. Now the behavior of the output looks like it should be, as it is a limited circuit, so the negative peak is a bit clipped. But how much of it is clipped, let's check by enabling the input 2. So again the same thing, adjust the input scale to on 2.2 volts per division. See, the negative is clipped. Let's take the readings, measure again, and then output is on channel number 1, press channel number 1. So the peak to peak is reduced, peak value is still on 4, and the negative peak is reduced to minus 2.48. Okay, now again, next, using, what does it say? Using the provided set input scale wave and record using the do preset line to run. Okay, reverse the battery and using the measured values of A, calculate the level of unit from the A. Okay, I am reversing the battery. One way of reversing the battery is you can switch the position of these wires, and the other way is you can simply switch them through their mains, through its mains. So see, let's see what has happened. Auto set. Now the positive peak is clipped and the negative peak is on 4 volts. See, I am adjusting the output again on horizontal sensitivity again on 2, moving its ground to the actual ground position. See, the ground is now on the line. Now sensitivity to 2 volts and on the DC. So this actually has happened. Why this has happened, we will discuss inshallah in the lab. For a time being, just note the readings. Uh, Peak to peak is reduced to 2. Maximum value is still on 4. Minimum value is at 1.28. And V amplitude, leave the other values. These are the values that are important. By the way, let's check where does our input lies. See, so this is basically the relation between input and output. Input is this and output is this. All this portion of the wave is clipped and only this portion is basically appearing. Now let's move forward. Okay, next we have parallel clippers. We don't need battery here, so I will plug the batteries wires out, this one and this one. Okay, now we need a germanium resistor diode, but as we don't have it in the lab, I'm using another silicon diode instead of the germanium one, and I will connect them up alternatively the way these are connected in this circuit. So this is 2.2 kilo ohms resistance. This one, as you can see, is connected this way. The negative is up and the positive is down. And the second one I will connect oppositive in the opposite way. Negative will be connected with the positive of the other diode and the positive okay, done. See, this gray side is here and the other one's gray side is at the upper position. The input is coming from the CRO. I will connect it here. See, this is the input and this is the other terminal of the voltage source. Output will be taken from here, it means across the diodes. So this probe is for the output that goes in the channel number 1, and I will connect them up between or across the diodes like this. Now let's check the behavior. Remaining properties of the input wave is same. 4 peak and are same, sorry, 4 peak to peak. Okay, it's now 4 peak to peak. Let's set the incoming wave to 4 peak to peak now. As I said, the input is on channel number 2 and input is coming from the oscilloscope. And how much is its peak value? It's round about 7 point peak to peak, so around about 7.68. With the help of this switch, amplitude switch, I will reduce it to 4. Okay, now this is at 4. For surety, press the auto set button again so that, see, it's not exactly 4. I will increase a bit from the now it's exactly 4 peak to peak value. Now let's check the output. The output is across the diode and it's going to the channel number 1. So I'm see okay, channel number 1 is on 500 millivolts and channel number 2 is on 1 millivolt. I will try to adjust both on the same scale. See, now both are on 1 volts. Now check the properties of the output wave by pressing measure, then channel number 1. Now peak to peak value is 1.24. V max upper peak is at 720 millivolts and lower peak it is at 560 millivolts. It means the threshold potentials of both the diodes were not equal. The threshold potential of the second diode is at 0.7 millivolts, the other one. So the threshold potential of first one was already calculated. That was about 0.45 or you can say 0.5, and the other its threshold potential is around about 0.7 as seen from the trace. Okay, in the next part it says reconstruct this circuit and change the input from square wave to sinusoidal input with peak to peak value 8 and frequency 1 kilohertz. Frequency is already at 1 kilohertz. I will simply switch the wave to AC. Now it's at AC, and we will adjust the peak to peak value to 8. Press the measure button and measure button again until this screen appears. Press channel 2. Now for the time being it's at 4. I have to increase it till 8. Okay, now it's at 8. Okay, the same circuit, same battery, the difference is same, that in the circuit it was 1.5, but in actual the practical that I am performing it's set on 2.0. Output is taken across the battery and the diode. Now let's check the output. Channel number 1. ओके सॉरी, इसको वापस तब्दील करना है उसी जगह से, मतलब हमने वो रिवर्स किया था ना ये. Match the vertical sensitivity, sorry, these are the vertical sensitivities. मैंने गलती से इसे हॉरिजॉन्टल बोल दिया है, गेस 2-3 दफ़ा पीछे. अच्छा, दोनों को 2 पे कर लो ना. ओके, output, what has happened? Peak to peak value is reduced to 6, maximum is still at 4, minimum is reduced to minus 2.48. The behavior is same it was in case of square wave. So this is basically the relation between input and output. Input is same, obviously, that is coming from the oscilloscope, and output that is taken across the diode and a battery is negative half is a bit clipped. This is the actual wave. Okay, now let's see what it says. Series clippers. Now what does it says? Now the output is taken across resistor. Okay, the remaining circuit is same, positive with the negative, and okay, I will reconstruct it. Okay, now the series clippers, the series limiters. Why these are called series limiters? Because the now battery and diode are in series with the uh, incoming voltage wave, that is the square wave or AC wave or any alternating wave, and output is taken across the resistor. And a diode series with a battery and then the resistor. Okay, now let's check either I have made it right or not. A diode, see the negative of it is connected with the positive of the battery, and then the negative is with the diode. The negative, sorry, is with the resistor. So the negative is with the resistor. Output is now taken across the resistor, this at channel number 1, and input is given across diodes one terminal and resistors one terminal. See, one terminal of the resistor and one terminal of the diode. Okay, let's check the behavior. First, I guess it says a square wave. We will simply uh, select the square wave, remaining properties are same. Now let's check what has happened. Okay, this is the output basically. This is the output wave. Let's check whether our ground is on the line or not. No, it's not. Adjust it and then visualize it on by taking the coupling on the DC scale. This is the output. Measure button. Measure again. Peak to peak value is at 1.92. Maximum upper peak is at 1.84, and lower peak is like disappeared, clipped. Let's check what was our input. Matching the scale. Okay, so this is basically the relation between input and output. The blue one is input and the yellow one is the output. Okay, we'll draw it here. Using the sensitivity chosen, set the input square wave and record. Okay, you will draw the calculated one here and the measured one here that I have shown you in this video. Reverse the battery. Okay, by reversing the battery, simply I'm reversing the input terminals. Now let's check what has happened. Now this has happened. Negative peak is still clipped, but the positive peak is a bit hyped. Let's check. Now positive peak to peak value is 5.52, 5.36. Take the average of it, and upper peak is still at the same value of peak to peak. It means there is no negative peak. So the negative peak is 0. Okay. Using the result of EA, using the sensitivities provided, you will draw the measured here. Now sinusoidal. Peak to peak value is still at 8 and frequency is same. use a vertical sensitivity of 1 volts per division and horizontal of the कैलकुलेटेड के लिए आप जो भी जो इधर सेंसिटिविटी इन्होंने कहा है उस हिसाब से बनाएंगे। यहाँ पे मेड के लिए जो मैंने कहा है आप उस हिसाब से जो है इधर शो करवा रहा हूँ। तो अब सिंपली हमने क्या करना है, यहाँ से साइन सेलेक्ट कर ली, सेलेक्टेड साइन। ओके, दिस इज बेसिकली द बिहेवियर। सी, this is the output wave and this is the input wave. The scales of both are at same so that you can compare the input and output. And let's check the properties of output wave. That is on channel number 1. Upper peak is at 5. Maximum value is also at peak to peak is peak and peak to peak value are same. It means there is no negative part. Negative part is 0. So this is okay. Wait a minute. See, I have switched it in the previous experiment. इसको दोबारा से अपनी एक्चुअल पोजीशन में लगा के फिर आउटपुट देखते हैं। शुक्र है, दिस इज द आउटपुट वेव। okay, I will tell you the theoretical detail in the class. See you in the next. Okay, wait a minute, take the readings of the output. So the peak value is at 1.6 or 1.7 and maximum is 2 at 10. It means there is no negative peak. Negative is at 0. Okay, see you in the next lab. Until then, Allah ke hawale.